So let's take that recursive pseudocode example and write a working Python program. That's going to be a lot quicker for you than hand tracing the recursive call on the exam. So I'm going to take my pseudocode and highlight it and comment it out. And then we'll implement each of the functions. So the first function is the fact function. So define fact, and we'll pass it an n, and then if n is equal to 0, I'll return 1, else I'm going to return n times, and then I'm going to call the function again, but this time I'm going to break the problem down and pass it 1 less than n. So n minus 1 will break the problem down. And then the next function is our loop function. So I'll define loop. It'll accept a parameter n, and I'm going to create a variable called counter and initialize it to 0. And then while counter is less than or equal to n, I'm going to print, and then I'm going to call the function fact, and I'm going to pass it counter. And then I'll increment counter by 1. So counter is assigned counter plus 1. And then that is the end of the while loop. And then I'm just going to uncomment that call. So this will be the call that calls the loop function, which will loop that many times and call the factorial function. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And I do have an error. Count is not defined on line 27, so that should have been counter. And I'll run it again, and you can see it does print 112 like we found out when we were hand tracing our code.